What's going on, everybody? It's the Trashmaster. Some of you here might remember me from my TCG channel. I'll put a link to that in the description below. But today we're going with a new direction with this new channel. In this channel, I'm going to be playing mostly old school video games, like from the Game Boy, Nintendo DS, stuff like that. And in today's episode, we are going to be starting off with with a very classic game that's pretty near and dear to me. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards. Well, without further ado, let's begin. Welcome to episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards. Now, I'm going to name my character TMP real quick because that's Trashmaster Plays. But a few things I want to explain in this video about about this game in general. So first thing first, we have the game doesn't exactly follow the rules of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. In fact, if anybody here has ever played the Digimon TCG, you'll know that it has one thing that kind of similar to that, which is your main phase and your battle phase are all basically in one big phase. You draw your card, you play your monsters, you can attack, then you can keep playing cards, and you can keep attacking again, and your turn only ends when you can't physically do anything. You'll see that a lot in this upcoming video. Another thing I want to point out is that type matchups. You'll actually see this come up quite a bit in this video, where certain attributes will actually be certain attributes will have advantages or disadvantages against other attributes. For example, fire beats water. So if you have a fire monster and you attack into a water monster, it doesn't matter how big your monster is or how big their monster is, your fire monster is going to die. Damage calculation will still be applied if there is a difference in their attack points or whatnot that wouldn't affect the stronger attribute monster taking damage. So for example, you have a fire monster. I'm sorry, you have a water monster and you attack into a fire monster with lower attack points. The attribute bonus would have auto destroyed it, but they still take the damage because you were still stronger anyway. And there's actually two different kinds of attribute bonuses here. The first one being the main four, which is the main cycle, which is fire beats forest, forest beats wind, wind beats earth, earth beats thunder, thunder beats water, water beats fire. So like a kind of like a weird rock paper scissors lizard spot kind of thing for those of you who watch The Big Bang Theory or have just seen it on a t-shirt somewhere. The second cycle is light, shadow, fiend, and dream. So if I remember correctly, dream beats shadow, shadow beats light, light beats fiend, and fiend beats dream. It actually has been a while since I've played this game, so I think that's how it goes, if memory serves. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments of this video. This is just, like I said, this is just the first video, and now we're just talking to people. That is another thing about this game that kind of, that I've kind of noticed is, noticeable playing earlier is, there's like a lot of older Yu-Gi-Oh games, you have this thing what's called a deck cost. So instead of just being able to stuff all of your favorite and best cards into one deck, you gotta actually build yourself up. Which is why you'll see a lot of duelists early on have like fucking 1-star monsters with 200 attack, or why hell you'll even see in my deck that I'll be playing here as soon as they let me start, that the main you don't have a lot of strong monsters. In fact, I think my strongest monster in this deck is fucking Morphian. I'm gonna show the card right here. Morphian is by absolutely no stretch of the imagination a good card. but in this stage in the game, it's actually arguably the best card in my deck. I do have a technically stronger monster, but 2 tribute monsters are really annoying, and they always have been. With that being said, this deck actually also has a lot of, like, this deck has a lot of light shit, like, a bunch of different attributes, different monsters. Another thing that this deck does is, in addition to building yourself up by winning duels and increasing your deck costs, you also have the anti-roll, which is at the beginning of each duel, which you'll see here in just a couple minutes. You'll select a card in your trunk, which is like your major pool of cards here. You select a card in your trunk, and that will allow you to and then you put that card up. If you lose, that card disappears from your trunk because you lost it. You forfeit it to the guy who won. But if you win, you get a random card. Like, it's honestly completely freaking random, and you'll even see in this video here that some cards that you'll win, you can't even use because they're technically too strong. But that's one of the more interesting things about this game, is the fact that you can't just build the strongest, most powerful, beefy Blue Eyes White Dragon Go Bird deck. You gotta build up to it. That also is to point out that the card that I plan on eventually getting for this whole game is Cybertech Alligator, which you probably saw in the intro. Cybertech Alligator is my second favorite card in the entire game. The first one being Yugioh, and a very close third being Stardust Dragon. But unfortunately, after doing a bit of research beforehand, because I was gonna start this playthrough with Cybertech Alligator in my deck, but the problem is Cybertech Alligator being a level 5 monster with 2,500 attack points and actually more defense points than Summon Skull. The card is actually way too strong to be used at all through the main playthrough, and unless you're really, really grindy, you actually can't put it in your deck until towards the end of the game. I do plan on putting Cybertech Alligator in my deck at some point. But, well, yeah, looks like we're about to start a new duel. Alright, so we're about to get into a duel here. Real quick on the anti-rule, they have this thing to where if you can anti any card, it doesn't matter. But if you try to use like a level 1 monster, then they'll tell you it's a too low level anti, and if you do it anyway and you win, you're not going to get a good card back. You'll get like a little 1-star. And basically, you put in what you put in. You potentially put in, get back what you put in. But yeah, that's basically how they do it. So the best way to do this here, especially if you're kind of new and not really used to the rules of this game, is you definitely want to put up a 2-star monster, like a weak 2-star monster. Like I just put up Tomazaurus here. Yeah, put a 2-star monster up, that way you'll still get the full benefits of whatever you're trying to get, but also not lose out on anything important if you lose. Which, once you figure out how the game really works, you're not really going to lose unless they blindside you with a random attribute. Or they get lucky and happen to have an attribute that's strong against yours. But as you can see in this duel, I'm just kind of mowing through it. I was for like half a second debating on just doing a bait and switch tactic, which is a really effective tactic in this game, where you set a monster face down while you have one in attack mode, and then they attack into the little monster, so then you can just run over their monster. The reason some people do this is because it makes it go a little faster, and if you have a monster that they can't immediately run over, whether by attribute or just straight up by battle, they're gonna set it in defense mode. As you can see, he's been basically doing that this entire game. So that's just how that ends up working, and when we win, Here's there's an example here about the what I was mentioning earlier, which is the card that you win. Sometimes it's usable right away, other times it's not. Goddess of Wind. The card's not very useful here because I can't use it. I'm too weak apparently. Alright, so right about here I'm actually going to skip a little bit. There's plenty of duels I go through just to kind of grind it, but they all basically play the same as the one you just saw. What I'm actually going to do is I'm skipping ahead to the alleyway to the graveyard scene, where you have to take out one of the 3 duelists in the alleyway that leads up to the graveyard in order to be able to fight Bonds. And that leads me up to the next whole major thing about this game is the first part of the story is collecting your locator cards. Now, as you guys have probably noticed from the first duel, and for those of you who haven't played the game, you don't get locator, unlike in the anime and the manga, you don't get locator cards by defeating random duelists. You actually get them by defeating what duelists would refer to as legendary duelists or boss duelists. So Bonds is the first one, and he's actually going to be where we cap off this video today. Then the next part's going to be basically going through getting the other 4 locator cards. But that's for the later video. Basically what I gotta do here is I gotta take out this one guy. So far he's looking like he's also a bit of a cakewalk. But most duelists on this stage are. I think it's around the last 2 locator cards, or I think actually maybe around Weevil's stage is when they actually start doing things that isn't just stick a random monster on the board and hope it connects. But I think that's actually a pretty good way to do this, because especially if you're coming off of the actual paper Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, this game is going to be very confusing for you. Because most people, in fact, I can pretty much wager that anybody playing the physical card game has better decks than these from the get-go, but that's just because we don't have any sort of real restrictions to what we can put in our decks. Yeah, as you can see, this duel is going very smoothly, and yeah, seriously, when we're about to go straight up to Bonds. Yeah, here he is, little emo boy. They also, believe it or not, they changed a few things for the characters, but I'll get into those characters as we go along through the rest of the video. Now here we are. We're about to start battle. We're about to start battle with Bonds. Alright, so for this duel, I had to put on my lucky hand. Yeah, we're starting the duel, and Bonds is gonna go ahead and summon his Bite Shoes and pass. Coming up on my turn, I'm gonna summon my Wandering Dead and attack over, passing my turn. Now, as I mentioned before, Bonds is gonna just set a monster and pass, and then this is where I start doing the bait and switch strategy that I mentioned before. I'm going to set a Gale Dagra, attack with Wandering Dead to get that defense monster off and pass. He's going to go to, he's going to summon his Pot the Trick and attack, and actually take 200 points of damage because Pot the Trick is weak as fuck. And pass his turn with that. Now, I realize at this point I could have gone for the Morphean, but I went with Leo Wizard instead because while recording I was thinking about making Leo Wizard like the meme card for this episode, but I ended up cutting out the majority of the recording of this video, so that's just what happens. You know, there's just another set and pass. Yeah, it's for the rest of this duel, it's basically going to go out the same way. It's he summons, attacks into what I said. It either fizzles or he takes damage. I tribute that monster, summon a big monster or bigger monster, and swing over. And this game actually ends up only lasting 12 turns, which is astonishing for this stage in the game. Yeah, then I'm just gonna end up winning here with Saber Slasher of all cards. Pot of Greed, insert joke here. Well, yeah, we got our first locator card now. But that's actually where I'm gonna cap off this video. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content, and hit the bell notification icon to let you know when I upload new videos. So this has been the Trashmaster, and I will see you later. Peace.